Hey, everybody. Here we are, episode 9 of Let's Talk Phys Ed. It's another Sunday, another episode. We're excited to be here. Tonight's episode is brought to you by iTweetPE.org. iTweetPE is a nonprofit project where all the proceeds go to purchase equipment for either teachers or schools that have suffered some sort of a loss. So go visit iTweetPE.org and check that out. With me as always tonight, my co-host, my bestest friend in the world, Tanner Rose. Tanner, how's it going today?
Oh, it's really good. It's really good. My allergy eyes are getting me. So if you're looking at this on a big screen, I haven't been doing anything bad. Just got red eyes. So how about you? We got Sarah here. We got Sarah Gietschier-Hartman. How's your day going?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. Spent the morning at the St. Louis Zoo, which is the #1 zoo in the country, by the way. And one of my kids had a adventures in zookeeping class. And then we went to his soccer game, and then we spent the evening at the pool.
Ooh,
so, yes, today was awesome.
Sounds like a blast to me. I did landscaping all day. I just wanted to, so.
It doesn't sound as fun.
Yeah, I totally wanted to do that. So
Sarah had a better day.
Sarah had a better day. Sarah, are you ready for the questions of the night?
I'm so ready.
She was telling me before the episode, before we clicked record here, she's super nervous, guys.
No.
Super excited, I guess. Super excited.
Yeah.
That was the word she used. That's right.
Bring it, guys. Bring it. Let's go.
So here we go. We're gonna try to get to know Sarah a little bit. So, first question. Obviously, congratulations are in order. Named the Shape America Middle School Teacher of the Year. Can you kind of explain the process of how that worked? How you felt? Like, let's figure out how that whole thing went down.
Yeah, sure. Well, first, thank you. So the whole process started a really long time ago. Like, I think I was nominated for like the St. Louis region. So they break down your state into different regional areas, and I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. And so I had to go through that process. And that was, oh my gosh, in February or March of 2017. And then I didn't find out until I think August of 2017 that I had won the St. Louis region. Then that moves on to the state level. Then that moves on to Central District, which is a 9-state region for us. And then that moves on to national. And the national award is done Academy Award style. So you don't know who's going to win until they say it. And I honestly did not think it was going to be me. And it was just the coolest moment ever. And when I got up on the stage to accept the award and thank everybody, I think the first words I said something were like, wow, 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 or something like that. I think the coolest part about the entire experience was seeing the comments that people said to me on Twitter, because they were following along with what was going on, whether it was through a hashtag or through different tweets or text messages they had gotten. And that was so unbelievable to hear from people from all over the country. That was so cool.
And we would have to go back and look, but I think I was the first one on Twitter to congratulate.
We're going to have to check. That could be amazing. Oh, I will do that.
Mm-hmm. And it only took you like 3 days to reply back.
That's probably not true.
Well,
we'll look that up. We'll look it up. Little statistician. Yes.
I'm sure it was faster than that. All right. So at the Shape America Central District Conference, you talked to us, right at the end, we're about ready to leave. You said, hey, I've got this little project I'm doing. It's this chop challenge. There's a couple of us Iowans and Jason with us too. And anyway, you were telling us about this chop challenge and you left, and I turned around and I said to my buddy Jared, and I said, hey, what's she talking about? I don't get it. So all of a sudden I start seeing more and more about this, and it became this awesome event at National. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so the Phys Ed Chop Challenge is something that I came up with on a whim. Like, I guess I've been thinking about it for a while in the sense of, could there be a reality competitive cooking show, Phys Ed style, where you have teachers come up with activities on the fly? And are there people in our community that can come up with games in like 20 minutes? And I know that there are. I don't think I'm one of them. And so then I was on the phone with Betsy Caldwell, who teaches out in Seattle. And I just said the idea to her, and we're like, wait a second, let's just do it. Like, let's just do it. So we knew we were both going to be in Nashville. This was a totally like off the books session. We were going to do it in the evening. We were having trouble figuring out like the logistics of it. And then Colin Brooks, who's a good friend of mine and who's also on the Shape America board of directors, kind of swooped in and said, hey, I might be able to secure a venue for you through Shape America. So he helped us work all that out. And then we had some other connections in the community as well. So we had the Shape America podcast was there, and Sport Time featuring Spark provided the equipment, and it was pretty amazing. So what it was is that there were teams of teachers. There were 10 teams. And there were 3 different rounds, just like the cooking show Chopped. And the first round was instant activity. The second one was like the lesson. And then the last round was the closure. And we had random equipment for each round. And we would show the groups the equipment and give them a few minutes to come up with their activity. They would present it to the group. And then in true Chopped style fashion, we had celebrity judges. And then we would chop them from each round. And so you can see the logo behind me over here. This was created by Stephanie Sandino, who teaches out in California. And it was a total surprise that Shape America made a sign outside the ballroom that they gave us. And since I drove home from the convention, I was able to bring that home with me. And so that's a pretty cool souvenir to have. And the entire event was just unbelievable. Stephanie Morris, the Shape America CEO, was there. Judy LoBianco, the president of Shape America, was there. And a whole bunch of other really amazing people that were just there just to spectate and support. And it was awesome.
Yeah. And
I followed that on Twitter, and I was hoping Team Iowa would win. We made it past 1 round.
Yes, they were good though, and it was pumped. And it was hard. I mean, I wasn't the one doing any of the chopping, but it was hard to see people who I know incredibly well. And I'm so close with the Iowa group that when they got chopped, it was like, oh no, because now they can like leave and we can't hang out and I can't watch what they come up with. So I was really crushed when they got bumped out.
Yeah, and I remember watching on Twitter, just I swore the week before Nashville I wasn't going to be on Twitter because I was just going to get mad following along, but I could not stay away. And I remember seeing posts about it, and it was super cool to watch. And I hope it continues at all the.
Yeah, well, we do have the plan to. So Betsy and I are putting on a chop challenge at the PE Institute in July. And then we haven't really talked about the convention next year, but we know that Shape America is interested in having another one next year. So it's like an after hours evening type thing. We just kind of have to figure out if that's actually going to happen, if Betsy can make that trip and that kind of stuff.
For sure. So Tanner had mentioned earlier about Central District and how at the very end you had said something about you were doing this chopped thing, and he told his funny story. So you couldn't get off of this interview without us first talking about what happened at Central District during my session. So you may or may not have interrupted the session a little bit. I don't know if most people watching the show, I make the joke like all 8 people that watch our show have heard the story. Let's hear your side of the story, and then I'll tell my side.
Okay, so for those of you who weren't there, I sprained my ankle before going to Sioux Falls. And so by the end of the conference, I was okay, but I was pretty sore. So I was sitting around hanging out with my Iowa peeps, and I look over and I see Stephanie Morris, and she's just about to leave the conference. And I'm like, Sarah, you should really go introduce yourself to her. You've talked to her on Boxer. I know she's busy, but let's go introduce. So I quickly go say hi, and she's like, hey, can you walk with me? I really have to get somewhere. And I was like, yeah, sure. So we're just walking down like the concourse of this facility, and I'm turned to the left talking to Stephanie, and then all of a sudden, boom, my face hits a metal sign that goes crashing onto the concrete floor. The whole place erupts with laughter. I look straight ahead and I see Chris Abinson and Joe Birch just cracking up laughing. I'm probably purple at this point, but at the same time, wasn't that embarrassed. And Stephanie just goes, you know what? If it wasn't you, it was going to be me. And I was like, thank you. But it's now turning into this really hilarious story and kind of famous story. And I mean, it's been talked about on Boxer. Everybody knows about it. And when I saw Stephanie again in Nashville, that's how I reintroduced myself. And she was like, oh yeah, I remember you. I'm like, great.
Oh, yeah,
Awesome.
you're the sign girl. So my side of the story is I had not been really big into the conventions and presenting and on a whim, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna apply to do a session at Central District, and I'm gonna do it on Twitter. I think Twitter is such a valuable resource for people to have. It got accepted. I was super excited. They put me right at the end because they're like, well, this guy, like, he's never done this before, and obviously, who really cares? And I actually had a pretty good showing. There was somewhere between like 25 and 100 people. I wasn't really sure. Tanner was in attendance.
It was probably like 99 people.
Yeah, there was quite a few people,
It was
and
definitely close.
and I was rocking it. Like, I was on fire. I had rehearsed it all. I had everybody's attention. Everybody's like, "This is the greatest session in the world." Bang, and a sign hits the floor. The last 20 minutes of that session, nobody cared what I had to talk about. They were all concerned about whether Sarah was okay because she was in a walking boot cast thing. Her face had just hit a sign. And so that's how my first session ever at a conference went. And I'm kind of glad to be a part of it, I guess, because it's such a funny story and everybody kind of knows about it now. So I'm glad I was kind of a part of that.
Okay, first of all, no one cared about my face. Second of all, your session was amazing. And I have been to several Twitter sessions or have seen them from afar, and yours was the most engaging one I have ever seen. And I mean that seriously. And the third thing I was going to say, I'm now forgetting. I forget what I was going to say.
Because you knew we were going to go with that.
No, I know. Every time the story has been told, you have been mentioned.
Hey, so it's good publicity for me.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah. Fantastic.
All right. So next thing I want to talk about is the last episode we had. We learned that Jason is like this really rough and tumble, like super strong hockey man who like breaks teeth out and he like is broken his collarbone. And we know that you are the most rough and tough ringette player we all know. Yeah, by far. So I'm curious, would you like to do a pretend play-by-play of what it would look like if you and Jason had a little one-on-one ringette match? But you need to give me like 30 seconds of like Doc Emmerich, like,
oh my gosh, I mean,
this is what happened. All right.
I wish I had known my ringette stick is like 50 feet that way in my basement. Maybe like more like 20 feet, but
let's just be 100% honest when we do this. I have never played it.
Okay.
I have no idea how to play it.
Okay, let's be completely honest. I don't really ice skate that well. I've gone ice skating. I don't fall, but I can't do tricks, so I can't do turns. I played gym ringette in PE against 7th graders. So yeah, this could be interesting. So you want me to do the play-by-play?
I want you to give us like 20, 30 seconds of play-by-play of what it would look like when you're, ringing it, whatever. I don't even know. I've never played it. But
Jason, what position in hockey do you play?
I was a forward.
Oh, okay. I like left defense. Just saying, my favorite player of all time. Brian Leach. Okay. This is Tanner. Did you come up with this?
Of course I did.
Oh my God, I'm killing you through the screen, buddy.
All right, here's the face-off. Ready? Ring it.
Oh my gosh, and GH takes the ring and she goes down the left side of the ice, and then all of a sudden Jason comes over, checks her against the boards, and realizes that that's against the rules. It's GH's ring. She goes back down the ice, does an amazing spin move, takes the ring through her leg, shoots and scores.
Yeah.
I could see that. That sounds about right. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, if you could get up after I checked you against the boards. You might have to get your ankle in an air cast or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a totally legal hit, and I get hit in the stomach and still can't get up, Who knows?
Okay, so what is it about teaching world games that interests you so much?
Well, like the presenter side of me says that it's because it's a way to reach students and teach them like concepts and strategies that they're already somewhat familiar with through unfamiliar games. But the teacher side of me says it's because a lot of the world games that I teach my students are more fun than the other games. And so my favorite is Brandball, which is from Sweden. And it's similar to baseball, although has a lot of differences. And I love it because it's totally inclusive. Anybody can play it. And the rules are structured in a way that everybody is included when they play. And you have tons of choices and tons of options when you're playing. And it's just an awesome, awesome game.
Yeah, we got to see you present that at Central District.
There was like 25 to 99 people there.
There was more people at your session than mine, let's be honest.
And I think the teams happened to be like 25 versus the 99.
Yes.
So it was not super even, but it was fun.
It was fun. It was very fun.
And that's what I learned you were saying, and I say this, if it makes it more fun and it's safe, then you can do it. Or I don't know what you said. Something like that.
Yeah. Like I think somebody came up to me and said, like, can we do this during the game? And Tina, you might have even asked, because I remember you were over near me like when this conversation was happening, and I said something like, is it safe? Does it make the game more fun? Then yes. Like, yes, that's totally fine. And it's one of those games where once you give your students or the teachers you're teaching the basics, then more of those goofy rules pop out. And my students are still discovering silly rules. Like we've added a hockey stick to the game now. We've added a football to the game. We've added all kinds of different modifications. And those just happen with experience and time.
Super cool.
All right. So if our viewers, they don't know this, that you are switching positions, you're going to go from the middle school to the high school. And the way I kind of look at this is you're kind of like when Michael Jordan, he won those 3 consecutive NBA finals as the MVP. And then he decided, you know what, I'm going to go play baseball. So like, what's going through your mind? Is this your choice? Is this chosen for you? Like, what do you expect? How's this going to go?
Yeah. So my very first teaching job was a high school job, and I taught there for 2 years. And then I switched to a middle school, taught there for 2 years, and then switched to another middle school and have been there for 7. So I'm entering my 12th year of teaching in August. And I was first asked right before Shape Nashville if I was possibly interested in coming up to the high school. And I was asked by a teacher at the high school who teaches math. And I was kind of like, I don't know. Let me think about it. I've taught high school before. I don't really think that interests me. And then right before I left for the trip, I was contacted by one of the elementary teachers in the district. And the subject line of the email was "team up!" exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point. And I was like, what? Like, what is this? And so he had been asked as well. And so he was like, hey, would you like to go to the high school together? And at the time, I thought that the timing of this question was so horrible because I was like, I got to go to Shape Nashville. I have a lot to do when I'm there. The Teacher of the Year thing is happening. That's a lot going on. And it couldn't actually have been any better. I was surrounded by all of my friends who know me really well, who know my teaching situation really well, who've helped me problem solve through a lot of stuff over the last couple of years. And so I ended up getting tons of advice from everybody. The best piece of advice, though, that I got was from Doug Glutty, who's a professor in Alberta. And he's larger than life, both size and personality. He's an amazing guy. And he was like, I don't need like the 20-minute spiel. He was like, just effing do it. And I was like, yeah, like I think Doug's kind of right. So I get back from the trip and I'm like, yep, let's do it. So this definitely wasn't a district shift or like I had to do it. Mm-hmm. It was totally my option. I could have said no to it. And I think that it's going to be amazing. So it's a department of 3 people. We all will teach health. We will all teach physical education. I haven't taught health in 7 years, so that's kind of exciting. And we've been given the opportunity to completely rebuild a program that needs to be rebuilt. And for the first time in my entire teaching career, I feel like I'm going to have at least one person to collaborate with on a daily basis that works in my building, that works in my department, who I share an office with. And I've never had that before. So to me, that's what I need. And it's going to be amazing.
That is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm going to share this real quick. Hopefully everybody can see this on the screen.
Oh, yes. I saw that picture just the other day.
There we are. Okay, there we are. And I don't know if you can see if you look real close.
Maybe.
Sarah's got her favorite team hat on.
I should have worn that tonight. I usually wear it every day.
If anybody who follows her on Twitter knows, she's a huge Kansas fan. Kansas, there it is. Okay. So your next question really isn't a question, it's a challenge.
Okay.
Without waking up your kids, you have to sing the Rock Chalk Jayhawk song to give us the full Kansas Jayhawk experience.
Okay, so I can't do the real song, but I can do the chant. That's what you're thinking. You're thinking of the chant.
I have absolutely no idea what I'm thinking.
You're thinking of the chant.
Wrote the questions. I'm just reading them off my phone.
Tanner is thinking of the chant.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, but let me give you some background so people know what the heck the chant is.
Okay.
Or like when you'll hear it. So you will hear the chant before football games. You'll hear the chant before basketball games, maybe some other sporting events as well. But in Allen Fieldhouse, which is where the basketball games are, by the way, they are all sold out, even exhibition games, 16,300 people.
Is this where Iowa State keeps beating Kansas?
Oh, I love those games,
the
Tanner.
episode's going to get so long now, Tanner.
Oh, Tanner, I love those games. And Bart Jones and I always bet during those games. And whichever team loses, the other person has to change their Twitter profile to the other team's mascot. And last time it was him. So, okay.
Probably going to be him next year too.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. So you'll hear it also at the end of the game when Kansas in basketball is definitely going to win at a home game. And it's really loud and it sounds really eerie and it's really spooky and it's super cool. Okay. So I'll do it kind of quiet because my kids are in bed and my dogs go crazy when I sing because I'm so good. Okay. I'm just kidding. Okay. So it's Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Jason, stop laughing. K-U. It's supposed to be really, really deep. Rock Chalk Jayhawk K-U. And then you'll hear this big drum. And then it goes, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, KU, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, KU, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, KU.
Oh,
that was awesome.
Yeah, you should listen to the choral versions on YouTube because they're really awesome.
That is the first thing I will do when I get off of this episode is look it up.
Yeah, so see, Tanner, now you're going to root for the Jayhawks. And you're going to forget about that ketchup and mustard team in Iowa.
But you know I'm a Panther.
Yes, as long as you're not a Hawkeye, it's okay.
In the NCAA tournament one time.
That's right. That's right. The Jayhawks are really good at losing in that tournament when they're not supposed to.
We're not very good about getting into it. All right. So my question for you is, what would you do if like a family member had this Ted Drew's custard shop and they inherited it to you? What would you do? Would you stop teaching?
Oh, no, I'd hire people to run it for me. I'd still teach and I'd get really fat. Frozen custard.
I don't think everybody knows what that is.
So Ted Drew's, Jason, is a frozen custard place in St. Louis, and it's really, really, really famous. And it doesn't just have notoriety in St. Louis. It's been featured on, like the Travel Channel and Food Network and all that kind of stuff. And they're most famous for their concretes because when made correctly and it's not actually 100 degrees in St. Louis, you can flip them over and they won't pop out of the cup.
Ah.
Yes, but my favorite frozen custard place is Fritz's. It's the best.
Oh. Good question, Tanner. Okay, we're running out of time. I just got the memo that says they're booting us off in 10 minutes, so this episode must be awesome.
It must be great. Let's go.
So what is the most outrageous thing that has ever happened in one of your Phy Ed classes?
I got locked in a closet once.
Tell us about it.
I was in the weight room of my first teaching job, and they had this really weird office with a phone in it, and I needed to use the phone, and we had kind of told the students you can't let this door shut ever because there's no doorknob, and it shut while I was in there, and the students were cracking up laughing. I ended up having to take my key off of my lanyard and shove it under the door, and luckily they opened it and let me out.
That was very nice.
This was my first year of teaching, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So, as we're running out of time, I want to ask you, do you have any projects you're working on right now? I know you've done the Phys Ed Goji team and you've done the Phys Ed Summit. What are you working on right now? Or what do you want to do?
So our Phys Pedagogy team is trying to figure out when our next Phys Ed Summit's going to be. We're trying to figure out if we're going to have them anymore. We're all super, super busy, and we're getting busier and busier, just the way our lives are working. And so we're kind of figuring out, what direction we want to go in as a team. Me individually, though, I've got a lot of trips coming up for professional development, both my own and presenting. So in July, I'm going to the Teacher of the Year retreat, which is in the DC and Virginia area. And I'm going to the Spark Institute in San Diego, and I'm going to the P Institute in July. And then I've got some trips planned for the fall as well. So October, I'm going to Shape, Oregon, which I'm super pumped about because I get to do a day at Crater Lake. And then in November, I will be at my state convention. So that's kind of cool. And then in January, I'm hoping to go to the PE Institute West Conference, although I don't think anything has been formally announced about that one yet. But
breaking news for Let's Talk Phys Ed. It happens all the time. Breaking news.
That's right. So I think Artie Camilla is trying to start a convention out in Arizona. Although I think a lot of logistics are still being figured out for that. So, and then the other thing, like teaching wise, is I'm going to be spending a lot of time getting ready for my high school position. The cool thing is that we get this thing called summer curriculum writing. And so you can work with a group of teachers and meet, and you get paid for it. So I've got 6 meeting dates coming up in June to kind of get that stuff ready.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Sarah, the time has come. You made it through. Episode 9 is in the books. Sarah, we are so glad you could make it. It was an absolute blast. Obviously, Let's Talk Phys Ed. We're signing off. I think this might be it for the year until the fall. So hopefully everybody tunes into this one and is excited for next fall. Tanner, got anything?
I don't have anything.
He's got nothing.
Thank you very much, Sarah.
Hey, thanks for letting me be on the show. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
See ya.